kids. Welcome to the Capital Life Podcast. I am your host, Abby Pagud. This is where we talk about all the things that life brings, the good, the bad, and of course, the healthy. And today we have a very special episode. We're keeping it real with real people, and I have my amazing friend, Carmen Davailus, with us today. Did I get that right or did I butcher it?
Abby, perfect.
It's so hard for me sometimes because, number one, I make up words for a living. And number two, you never know. I went from Walker to Pagud. How the hell do you, there's no judgment on names, but I want to make sure that we can keep it respectful. But welcome to the Capital Life, Carmen.
Thank you. Yeah, I think I'm the only Carmen Davailus in the world. So
that's actually pretty cool.
Keep it that way,
Yeah. And actually, I guess you can do a lot with that, especially when it comes to like titles and like YouTube and like when we Google search you, we won't have problems. So I don't think that's a bad thing.
Yeah, I mean, that part.
It's like no different than being like a share, like, right?
No. I do think Carmen, when people say I can't say your last name, I'm like Cher, Madonna, Beyonce, just call me Carmen.
See, I always tell people, Carmen. I tell people it doesn't matter what you call me as long as you do. So but then that gives that broad invitation to call me a lot of other things that probably isn't like a proper invitation, but you know what, who cares? It's fine.
This episode of The Capital Life is brought to you by Restorative Function Massage. As a sports and medical massage clinic, they don't just treat symptoms, they solve your body's puzzles. Using advanced education and deep knowledge of anatomy, the focus stays on your unique needs and goals. Restorative Function Massage believes your body holds the key to living your healthiest, most active life and are there to help you unlock it. Whether you want to increase range of motion, power, circulation, or reduce headaches, fatigue, and scar tissue, their targeted techniques help restore function and enhance your quality of life. Book your session with Restorative Function Massage today and start feeling your best by unlocking your body's potential. Okay, quick little note before we keep going. If you've ever listened to the show and thought, I kind of want to carry this energy with me outside of the podcast, go check out Capital Health Shop at capitalhealth.com. We've got a mix of things in there for everybody. Oils to support what your body's moving through, customized exercise and nutrition plans, and even gift cards so that you can spread that Capital Health love. And of course, the swag. Shirts that actually say what we're thinking, such as be stronger than your excuses or run like your kids are looking for you. So if you want something that actually matches how you're showing up in your life right now, check out the Capital Health Shop. Achieve your ideal health where health meets alignment. Please like, share, and rate us on whatever platform you're listening. It's how we start to really spread the message of good in the world that needs it so much right now. If you find this helpful or insightful, don't forget to connect with us on Facebook and YouTube at Capital Health. That's KAPITOL Health. Also, visit us at capitalhealth.com and subscribe to our newsletter and get wicked awesome updates.
Okay, guys, this is like a super fun episode. Our episode today is Don't Stop Believin'. We are on emotional waves of sacred worth. And the thing that's really cool about Carmen is she is an artist, she is a speaker, she is an author. She has also been a holistic nurse practitioner for over 20 years. And also her and I have very massive common ground because her son served in the Army, my husband served in the Army. So I have to be perfectly honest that when I have a conversation with Carmen, it just goes straight into energetics and I don't always actually remember what the hell we talked about.
Me too, Abby. I looked at my notes and there weren't any. So
yes. Yeah, we get so connected into the conversation and it ends up being like such a beautiful connection. And there's so much potency of just raw material of the words that we share together. And I value that, especially in kindred spirit, friendship, all of those different things. And what I really love of what you're doing is you're pouring your heart and soul into the art and work that you create. Can you explain to us a little bit more of like what that is for you and like what you're trying to kind of teach in that process? I don't even know what the word to describe that would be.
Yeah, it's really interesting because it's recently become really evident. It's full circle for me from my years in nursing, but about 8 years ago, I just transitioned from clinical work to photography. And of course, in the beginning, I'm learning things, right? How to use the camera, how to take proper pictures, all these things. And then it evolved where it's an art as well as a science, but more art for me because the technical stuff is like muscle memory for me. It's already there. I
Right,
got it. I
right.
can do that. And now I just get to be. And I realized the healing power of just being in the moment, being present, especially for me in nature. But even when I photograph portraits and people, I'm in that moment so much that time doesn't even, it is like what feels
It
like
like disappears.
it
Time
disappears.
doesn't exist
Like
in it.
it's probably been 30 minutes and it's more like two hours, right?
Right.
And it is such a happy, wonderful, peaceful place to be.
Well, and I think that's where a lot of so my oldest, it's been really interesting because he's more of the creative mindset. My husband has this wicked massive talent. Like he can literally write every single font to a T that you get on it. He can do it. And like his calligraphy, he can pretty much do anything. If I notoriously, if you get a written note from me, I wrote the material and the content in it, but my husband wrote it because my handwriting looks like, I think it's a part of, it's kind of like doctors and they like can't write, like I have that problem, but like I have words that just pour through me. And my husband, I'd be like, oh honey, can you please write this down? And he's like, seriously, that's a novel. And I'm like, yeah, but please write it. And he just, it's beautiful. But my point to this is that when artists go to a place of their creation, they open themselves up to a whole nother energetic level that literally like puts them in space and time that does not, like, there's no words to describe. I mean, my oldest, when he would create some of his amazing like artwork, he didn't even remember creating it. Right. Like it's almost like he allowed it to come through him like a portal, and it just poured through him. There was no explanation. There was no verbal that he couldn't explain it. He just disappeared and he was in a world of his own. And there's so much raw beauty in people that have the ability like yourself to be able to go to that level of depth and connection to life source. Like, I think it's a tremendous gift. And I think it's just something that needs to be shined to the world. How old were you when you found photography? Because I dabbled in a little myself in my high school years. I give a shout out to a teacher, but I can't remember their name.
Yeah,
but I could be wrong.
You could be right. Yeah, well, I'm old enough that the cameras I had in high school were the film kind, and the kind you had, like the film canisters.
Oh, I had a classic Pentax, like where you had to crank it. Like, yes.
That's it. And then so very little. And the thing for me is then I would pay for the film and then pay for it to get developed. And I would look at them and go, I don't like these at all. Of course, we didn't have access, like cell phones, and this was the best we had. And it'd be like,
did you not have a photography studio that had, like, we had to do it ourselves. We had to go to the dark room. We had to do the film and cut the film ourselves in the dark while you're sitting there trying to wade through it. And then you had to come out and wash it. Yes. Did you have that access in high school yet?
No, we didn't even have that in my high school. A very small area, a small town. So no, we did not have that, but I really wanted to. And when I started in college, I had friends who were who studied photography, and I really just tried to tap into their genius. And one of the first things I purchased when I graduated and was making decent money was a camera, a Canon 81. Nice. And I played, and so it was always a dream. But then the thought of being a photographer and not knowing the things, and and having a business, right, and having a studio, and it just seems so far, far away. And of course, life is a lot different now, and what we can do is a lot different. And I think I would have been like a photojournalist or something, because I loved just diving into the stories and following along. And well, fast forward, I'm 67 and I'm doing some of that now. So it's not too late.
No, I like, see, one of my favorite things is like how the things that we gravitated towards kind of circle back into our living existence, like later years, and you can pick it up whenever you kind of want to. Like my husband and I have been very strong believers that we don't push our sports and our interests onto our children. We let them discover, we let them go through the experience, and then we support them through it. And then coincidentally, like I never thought soccer mom would be on my title. I still have a little bit of reservations. I do not have any like gear that indicates that, but I'm pretty much, my tote bag says otherwise, right? But like, but when it comes to that, like my son had recently been interested in asking interest for golf and like actually learning to play and swing a golf club. And unbeknownst to some, a lot of, now I'm going to say a secret that like the audience doesn't know, but I went to golf school for 2 years. I went to one of the most elite golf schools in the country for 2 years and trained. And, there was a very addictive, like, sporty golfer within myself that for years. And so, but I was like, I jumped into my career, I jumped into raising the family. And then I was kind of like, oh, it was always on the back burner of maybe someday you can pick this up again after the kids are grown. And then lo and behold, one of ours was like interest. And I'm like, it got me back on the course for a little bit. So it's like, it's this really nice thing that you never know when it comes back around. I really am a strong believer that it comes in at a certain point. But one of the things I want to ask you the most is, how do we teach people to stay in the moment of their existence right at the time? Because with you, when you like to bring your art, you like to stay in present moment, you like to stay in our body. And when we do that, it can be uncomfortable and it can be very vulnerable. And especially like with kids today, they're always on their phones, but they don't seem to be connected. Do you have any tips that can help us kind of keep us grounded within ourselves that works for you?
Yeah. Well, so I think I was first even introduced to the thought of the being present with someone else, being present with yourself, or being present in nature when I started to study. I'm going to clear my throat.
No worries. I'm the one that's nursing the nurse in the cold. I'm going to be nursing tea all day.
That's it. It's the early days of holistic nursing. So I'd probably been a nurse about 10, 15 years. And all I could think of, there's got to be something better than this. There's got to be something's missing. It's not, this isn't it. This isn't it for me. And I discovered holistic nursing, which was just simply body, mind, and spirit, and looking at who we are and what we do as not just a taskmaster or getting the work done on a shift or what have you, is that we're
not making someone feel like just another number, right?
No,
like
exactly.
A lot of hospitals have a tendency to kind of do that. They forget about the person behind the care.
Which makes it really tough. But the main message was that we ourselves, our presence is part of that healing process for people. And what we bring to the table is what is perhaps even the biggest part of a healing situation. So yourself, like if you go in and you see a healthcare provider and they're on the laptop and they're talking as you go in and they give you a prescription and okay, whatever, you're done. And a different provider, same situation, but they actually look at you and talk to you and ask you questions directly and give you the very same prescription. The outcome of prescription is the same, but the outcome of your experience completely different. You walk out feeling much better because somebody listened to and connected.
Did you know that we at Capital Health have been working on an app that's never been created before? And with all the excitement around it, we've decided to give you an opportunity to become a Capital Health founder. Capital Health founders get exclusive perks, including 3 to 6 months of full access of the app, a Capital Health t-shirt, and future founder-only benefits. The app itself is designed to meet you where you are, assessing your needs and creating customized workouts and personalized nutrition tailored specifically to you. In short, it's like having a trainer, nutritionist, and energy coach in your pocket without the massive expense of hiring each one individually. Founder opportunities are limited and only are available before the launch date. So head on over to capitalhealth.com to learn more on how to become a Capital Health founder and achieve your ideal health.
They wanted to know your course and preference of treatment, right? Like, I cannot tell you how many times, and I think you probably have had similar experiences with your son, where I've gone to doctor's appointments with my husband for the VA, and it's like they didn't even listen to his request to being less intrusive and more holistic and less directive. Like, I'm sorry, but my husband, you do not prescribe a freaking steroid to someone that struggles with PTSD. Like, especially depending on where they are at their level, but when they're when they're in the worst parts of it and you're trying to be mindful to not push them into an episode, like, you don't do that unless it's direly necessary. And we had a couple of times where there's one nurse in particular, and like, I had to go up to the doctors. I was like, you need to go talk to your assistant, like your physician's assistant, because he's not paying attention. He's basically giving these people Band-Aids, and he's actually producing to recycle these guys into the same problem that they came in for. They're not fixing the problem. Right. And because I know the language of medical, I was able to get us what we needed further and actually more depth. But like, we really had to present we had to be assertive within our position so that we could actually be heard, and which was really sad. But that's also a difference between like private sector versus public sector, which, you went into, you being a holistic care, there's a little bit more grace and compassion and connectivity. And because of that trust that you build, that rapport that you build with the client, they feel more comfortable being able to take certain prescriptions when necessary. And the reasons why, because we can't do everything with oils and crystals. And
I worked in a traditional clinic. I wasn't in a holistic clinic or anything like that. I brought what I brought to our traditional American medicine. But I want to go back to something you said, and the very first step in being present is to throw away your agenda. In order to be present, your agenda, you don't have an agenda other than to be present. So you're not thinking about, what are you going to say? What are you going to do? It is just about being present and taking it in. And that is a tough thing that is perhaps the biggest obstacle to presence, even when we're being present with ourselves, to say, I just want to be with my feelings. I just want to be with my thoughts. And it's like, but then, all the stuff.
I just had to breathe that in for a moment, just because it was so spot on, because I was like, and because just even taking a moment to just breathe that in and releasing, your brain goes blank.
Yes. And that is vulnerable, Abby, to simply be present without, as best as possible, as best you can do. It's really difficult, but as best you can, to not be thinking about what you're going to say or do next, or what are they thinking about me? All the thoughts that jump into our heads when we're talking about people.
It's usually ego. It's usually a form of ego, right?
Tons of stuff. Yes.
It's usually ego of, I want to be seen, or how can I, even people, I have a great friend of mine where I love her to death, but she has a tendency, she wants to help so much that her advice, like, it's always like she's going like this, trying to offer connectivity. And she's a fantastic connector. Tremendous connector. But because of that, she doesn't slow down.
Yes.
And she never takes a pause, like, because you can feel this constantly, like the hamster wheel is going. And it's like people like that, I almost want to take them and just put them in a room, lock them in a soft, cozy little pillow room for like, not an insane room, but like a soft, cozy, like marshmallow room for like an hour of silence. Like, just feel like, here, enjoy peace. And then like see what happens.
Yeah.
But,
like, it's tough. It's tough.
It's really hard.
You know, even in relationship counseling or learning to be to be a good communicator, the very first lesson is to listen. Listen first. Make sure you understand before you respond. Well, that first step is just usually not even in, because people are thinking about, no, this is what I think. And before they say it, right? And then like, you can't really hear another person if you're thinking about what you're going to say next.
Or their intention, right? That's where I always say pre-assumption is the killer of communication, because when you're in that trying to figure out what the other person's getting at, it muddles the messaging, right? Because then, and that's where I think it's really important for people to ask, you know, like, I believe that I heard this. Is this true? Or is this what your intention was? Or in being able to do that before acting is a much slower, methodical process. And I think we've had this conversation before about how, you know, I'm a little loudmouth myself, like, let's just be honest. But at the same time, I'm very observant. And so I always see a lot of, like, I love my quiet ones in the room, right? Like, I love the quiet people in the room, because they're observing like everything. They're seeing it. They've got a lot of thoughts going on. They're processing, but they're also not acting off of judgment, and they're not acting off of assumption. They're like very methodic in how they deliver and talk. And so I really love to use my loud ability to kind of go hang out with my quiet ones in the corner, hear something that they might say, and then I scream it for them.
Well, you know, one of the first times we talked, I was getting ready for a speaker competition, and I was telling a story about a baby I took care of 40 years ago. And you asked me, you said, what are you going to talk about? And I started to tell you the story, and you listened, you know, like very intent listening. And you're like, you know, I see that. And you rattled off a really great synopsis in order to help me make sense of how am I going to tell the story in 3 minutes, this long convoluted story in 3 minutes. And you're like, oh, you could begin with, and then go to that, and then go to that. And I'm like, yeah. And I thought, I need to like put that in my head, because we were sitting at a bar, and I'm like, I don't have note paper, but that was really good.
I honestly, I did not know that was one of our first conversations. Like, and I never do. This just proved my point on how I don't remember.
Yeah, it was profound for me, because I got in my car and I recorded myself a little message, because I thought that's a great idea on a way to, because I was just in the formation of how am I going to do this talk. And I was so nervous anyway, as you know, before a competition. And
it's hard breaking through the barrier of speaking when you're not used to being like on that platform. I just got used to people staring at me all the time, because I always said shit that apparently aligned with people, or they always wanted to say more. They always wanted to hear me say more stuff. So I just, ever since my youth, that people just threw me into that position, even when I didn't want it. Because personally, I hate public speaking, like hate it with a passion. But my voice and my purpose and my messaging is God-given, and like I know that, and so I respect and honor that. And so then I have to stay in the moment. I have to take my ego and put it over here. Actually, the camera went to the right, but actually, so there, that's proper. I actually put myself to the left, but it's opposite on the camera. But it's very difficult. And one of the things that I think for me in that conversation, what you described is I put myself aside to listen to what is being said and how I can be of service or offer simplicity. So that because you clearly were having a conversation about number one, you were addressing like a next level of yourself that you wanted to achieve, right? Number two, you were trying to make sure it was clear, concise, so that your messaging had purpose and grace, and it got delivered to the people that needed to have it too. And number three, it was, okay, how can I help simplify this so that you don't get consumed by your emotions and it creates more of a methodic flow? Because I understand how that is. I mean, if you watch, like, there's not a lot of videos, thank goodness, but like if you watch some of my first speaking, I spoke a lot here. Like my speaking was not through my voice. It was not through my grounding space. I was literally like, it was almost like everything was rattled in my chest, circling. And you can almost see it in my posture, and you can see it in how I, it wasn't that I didn't breathe, but it was like I held my speech right into my chest. And then it rattled, and then, but it didn't have the smooth ease that delivery could have. And that a lot of times, I don't know if this is for you, but for me, being energetically inclined, I know you're already energetically inclined, and it works differently for everybody. But with me, when I'm speaking, I will have people, when they're focused on me, I'm absorbing all the energy of them. And so then when you're speaking in a room of 100 people, fuck, that's a lot of energy, right?
It's a lot of energy.
Yeah. And then what's worse is I level it up a little bit, because my spirit guides are kind of always with me. When I have a conversation with you, I'm actually having probably 3 to 4 different conversations at once. So like there's the physical conversation that you and I are having. Then my spirit guides are having a conversation of translating that conversation. Then my spirit guides are also communing with your spirit guides and having that conversation. And then there's the other duality of yours communicating with, and so on and so forth. So there's like 4 to 6 conversations happening at one time. And then if you put 100 people in the room, really, like,
it's a lot.
It's hard to focus. And that's how it is for me.
And it's very much not being present because there's too much going on. But you know what? So that our conversation, Abby, that day, I thought, you know what? She knows her message. She knows what she's there to do. So that confidence piece of it, confidence in you're there, you know what you're doing and your purpose, right? And so I had that for many years in my nursing. I knew, like, I would walk in a room. There's a reason I was in that room. There was a reason. And then the power of presence and paying attention, and then being able to read the room very quickly and intervene in whatever way needed to be. And sometimes it was to just be silent and pay attention. And sometimes it was to act really quickly. I mean, this can be really fast, and it needs to be at times. And so I thought, why am I not doing that when I stand on stage? Why do I have this feeling like I'm not sure I belong here yet? Are you kidding? I'm 66 years old and I've been preparing.
You've worked your ass off. Like, yeah, of course you belong here.
I have things to say. And yes, and I'm brought there for a reason. And I was guided to do things for a reason that I knew intuitively. And then I guess that's that ego part saying, I don't know, maybe you're not quite ready.
Self-doubt and the nervousness and the fear. And it's that self-sabotaging behavior that we have. And I think sometimes I think sometimes it also is the fact that like we're going into a new version of ourselves. And I've been focusing on that a little bit recently because, it's as we evolve, we don't necessarily know what that next version, we know where we've been, we know who we've been, but then when we're evolving into that next version of ourselves, that next role of identity, it can be really emotional and it brings up a lot of the trauma of our past, right? Like of the things that told us that we weren't good enough, or the
Who do
things
you
that
think
told
you
us,
are?
right?
Who do you think you are? You think you're so special, but you're not. And I'm like, I think we're all special.
Yes. Well, and we act that way. It's like our behavior reflects that. We represent that to other people. We know it to be true, but then when we get inside our head, we get to those emotional waves, right? And it's like we really have to learn to not don't stop believing, because we have to bring it into like reality of honoring the fact that we are a human. And part of humanity is going through the waves of emotions, or, if we're going to be here on Earth School and the human experience is having an emotion, of having a human experience, that's realizing we are energetic beings having a human experience. And sometimes that takes us through waves of emotions that we can't always explain. But then we also have to basically act with intention that takes us to our sacred worth.
Quick question. Is your body cooperating with you today or fighting you a little? That's what I thought. In that case, you might want to check out focus programs at capitalhealth.com. These programs are designed around specific needs, from low back pain and shoulder tension to mobility, stretching, and even strength support. We even made programs for different life stages and goals, including pregnancy, post-pregnancy, targeted toning, and way more. Right now, there are over 20 focus programs available. And if you use the code TheCapitalLife at checkout, you'll get $15 off any program you choose. Come explore for more at capitalhealth.com.
Because we are so powerful, we do have messaging. I mean, one of the things I love about you is that your voice has always been very solid. You don't have a quivering nature in your voice. Okay. So it's interesting to me to hear you. Thank you for sharing your vulnerabilities with us today and staying in the present moment. I'm actually getting kind of chills about it. But one of the things I love about you is that you have this ability where you might be feeling that, and you might have gone through some of those emotional waves, but your voice has always been very solid, right? A lot of people, when they're going through emotional struggles, they get their quivering voice, or the voice cracks, or any of that. That's never been a thing for you. It's always been very anchored and solid in delivery. And I've always had profound appreciation for that.
Thank you. That has been an evolution. Yeah.
This is what we need to have conversations about, right?
Yeah.
These are the open conversations, because I think it's really important for us. I think everyone should kind of, it's almost like everyone should wake up to listening to their bio as their alarm clock, right? It's like if you woke up and your bio was going off, but it was read by a friend of yours, and your friend ended up doing a perspective, and you got to see yourself through someone else's eyes. Fuck, we would all be waking up as badasses every damn day.
Yes. Yeah.
Would that be awesome?
My husband actually there was a group. He's in business, some kind of a group, and a variety of people wrote down what they thought about him, positive, and the coordinators of this group put it together to give a page of these, and he's got it framed in his office, and read this every day, because it is so powerful. And when we may falter on what we're thinking, because we have a whole history people don't know about, right? But when we falter, we can read and go, oh yeah, these are people I've touched in so many different ways, because I showed up, and because I was brave, and I did that, and courageous and vulnerable and all the things. And and can I tell you my competition, by the way? I can just tell you, a moment of quavering.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I made the semifinals, and I'm in the semifinals, and it's a bigger stage. And I'm talking about a baby, a premature baby I took care of, and his parents, what they meant to me. But it had been 40 years. So that baby is now 40 years old. And his mother, and the story was how I found them. They were a very common name, and I made a lot of cold calls, and I found them. And I, of course, said, hey, I'm going to do the story about us, about 22-year-old Carmen, and 19-year-old you with this premature baby and things. And they actually flew in from Las Vegas
Oh my God.
to Dallas to hear me speak on stage to share our story.
That's so magical.
Yes. And I thought, okay, this just has to be the greatest day for me, and to get to see them for the first time in 40 years. And I thought, is it better to see them before I speak and then I'll be all a mess, or after? And I thought, I think I could do, this is the confidence. I can do it. I'll speak, and then I'll see them after. That's perfect. So they're in the audience, though, and I'm speaking, and I like to look at people, and I'm engaging, and that's where I get
you're screwed.
My strength, right?
Yeah.
And then I looked, and the mom, Lori, is crying, and she's pointing to her son, who's this tall, handsome guy, Randy, and he's sitting there, and people are looking like, I thought what I had was probably a 5 to 10 second gap, because it's like my heart chakra exploded and my brain went dead.
Yes.
It was like, and I just took in that moment. I'm like, this is a moment for me I will never forget.
Yeah.
And then I carried on, and I didn't make it to the next round, and I'm pretty sure why, but because not everybody knew that, nobody knew like that they were there and what had happened, but it didn't matter. It was like, it
needed
perfection.
To be what it was.
It needed
right?
to be.
Like,
people said, like, what do you mean you stopped? I mean, if it was like a second or two, maybe. And I think like a long gap.
Well, the thing is I've seen a couple speakers where they've actually intentionally held like a 10, 15, even a 30-second pause on purpose in their speeches.
Oh, yeah.
And and then the crowd is silent. They are creeped out. They are kind of like, what's happening? But what I really love is like when people take moments like that, it really gives you a read of where people are energetically, right? Like where they are listening to the story or not listening to the story, where they are emotionally with you. And honestly, I wish that more speakers would do a little less formalities and a little bit more connectivity. And what I mean by that is, like, when I say formalities, I'm thinking of, like, you think our news anchors and they're just like, well, thank you today. We're looking at a bright sunny sky and the age of 75. Like, what, I don't know what the age of 75 is, but like it's the presentational voice. It's the I'm on and I have to be here a certain particular way.
Yeah.
And the thing is like, you can still have poise and connection at the same time. Yeah. And the more that you connect with your audience, the way that you are looking at them, you are seeing them. I probably would have done the same selection of I can't see them until after the speech, but then I also in my head would have been like, do not look at them while you're speaking because you will like start crying. Like that.
I cry. And I was nervous. I mean, I was so nervous up there, a lot of people. And I thought, I want to do more nerves about, I want to do right by our story, by us, and so that's where all that stuff got. And I'm like, you know what? Just tell the story, get up there and tell the story. And I was so proud to be up there. And so to say, look at me, I'm actually speaking up, because I'm more of a listener than a speaker. It was a big deal. And so if the judges didn't, so many people came up to me and said, oh my gosh, I was so moved. And they thought, okay. And they had their own stories similar. And I thought, okay, job well done. Well done. That's really what it was about. But that shaky voice, that was my point. Like, I'm pretty sure I was shaking, Abby.
Well, it's that most people don't really, and this is another, goes right back to that point, is that like that sacred worth of sharing a story and then having so many people come up to you that have either gone through the same experience or they've known someone. I mean, like, think about how many degrees were connected, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's so many degrees that were connected to something. And one of the things that I've been discussing a lot with my husband in more recent years is that the more that we hide the traumas of our past, the more that we keep them tight-lipped, and we, do kind of the old school, I love my grandparents from the Great Depression, but that approach of the pish posh, we don't need to deal with these feelings. It's fine. Like that
Right.
kind of reaction in, like, I get it. They came from war times. It was like extreme. So then, they had a different approach to dealing with some of those things. But when we silence ourselves on the traumas that we've experienced, they seem to come up and repeat themselves, repeat ourselves either in our lifetime or in our children's, and so on and so forth. Yeah. And it's really important to be able to be courageous. It doesn't mean that you have to jump on the stage, right? Mm-hmm. And it doesn't mean that you have to go out and just blurt all of your traumas out to random people, because it kind of freaks people out. They don't know how to respond, right?
Yes.
But it is being able to one not have them define you. So like you do the work, rid yourself of the traumas of the best you can, especially when they show up at all the different life points, because they show up again and you thought you cleared it already, but you didn't. But also making sure that we're at least courageous enough to be vulnerable with them, right? Like staying in that current moment of vulnerability.
So we're back to presence, Abby. We're back to being present with yourself. And that is an equally difficult thing, because then you've got to, and I'm not talking about blaming, right? We're not talking about blaming.
No.
We're talking about looking at it like almost that, for me, that bird's eye view up above the whole thing. Right. And then what? And so to be present with that, what was that experience? What did that mean? And then, well, what now?
Let's face it, the world moves fast. Your growth and healing deserve a space that moves with you. That's why we started the Capital Community, a place for people who want to understand themselves more deeply and stay connected to their evolution. Each month, we explore the emotional and energetic pulse many of us are navigating, helping life make a little bit more sense. Inside the community, you'll also find guided meditations, reflections, and wellness insights that help you reconnect with your body and steady your mind. We bring in new voices and conversations that expand how we see ourselves, our health, and the world around us. And don't forget Soul Talks with Abby, where we open the wisdom window and explore real experiences together. Want to learn more about the Capital Community? Visit capitalhealth.com and explore the place where growth keeps unfolding. At just $26 a month, join the Capital Community, where wisdom grounds you and awareness helps you rise.
And but that requires,
what now is a huge one.
Yes, and that requires that present with yourself, not what others are going to think. It's about just sitting with that, and no judgment on you, no judgment on the others. Like, this happened, and then no human goes through life without some kind of traumatic experience, and some traumas are huge and some are smaller, but they impact. Right. And unless we can be in that presence with ourselves, non-judgmental presence, just observe, feel. As you said, they just keep popping up. They just keep popping up in other ways. Because they're still there, and we haven't stopped to listen. We haven't listened to ourselves.
Can I share something with you that's really personal that happened like literally last week during my equine therapy appointment?
Oh,
So, and it goes to everything that you were talking about, okay, of being able to show up without judgment. And the reason why I'm bringing it up is, so I do equine therapy. For those of you that don't know, equine therapy is horse therapy. It basically, like, the horses heal on the ethers. They're freaking amazing 1,000-pound healers, and they connect with you on where you're needing to connect with. And they're just beautiful creatures. And it's I could do equine therapy for the rest of my life, just side note. But what was really interesting is in my session, I ended up having 2 horses that I ended up just being a human scratching post to. They were clearing different areas of my chakras. But like, I had one horse on one side, Duke, and the other side, Zachary, on the other. And I just stood there and they were just like working on me like the whole time. It was just really fun and kind of goofy at the same time. But at some point, Zachary had finished, and so had Duke. And so they went off, and I was talking with my therapist and my horse guide. And all of a sudden, Zachary jumped up and he bucked, like, and violently kicked several times. And he was only probably maybe 10, 15 feet away. It was pretty close. But my horse guide looked at me and he said, "What is it that you're trying to kick out of yourself so aggressively?" And I had to stop because I did not have an answer. I was so rawly shaken of like, I don't even think I know what that answer is yet. I have to sit with this, right? Which, me, silent. That's funny. So here I'm sitting here and I'm mindfully thinking about it. And I started talking about, some of the, the cloud. It didn't feel like cloud overhead with some of the traumas and some of those things. And I started talking about, like living through some of the stuff. And I've always been a very massively firm believer of everything that we've been through, the traumas that we've been through in our lives shape us to who we're supposed to be. There's a purpose. Like, if anything, I always honor, like, oh, I can't wait to see what my brain does with this. This is going to be exciting. Like, even in the worst stages. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But the summary of what ended up happening that I figured out with my therapist was I had completely the grit and the grossness of the processing of emotions and processing the trauma and processing the experience, right? It can be messy. It can be uncomfortable. It can be extremely vulnerable. Sometimes you even go through physical purges, right? Mm-hmm. Where you just have to hysterically cry or you have to hysterically go through the things. And what was really interesting is that, my horse guide was pointing out the purpose in this. And I'm like, no, I've always done 1 and I've always done 3. But 2, the processing part, I would judge and shun myself. Mm-hmm. I could feel myself energetically turning my back to hide away and not honor and have grace and compassion and gratitude for the process of and the ability for my body to go through that. Right. And it was because it was the vulnerability and it was all of the rooted of you're supposed to be a particular way or you're supposed to show a particular thing. And it was the childhood upbringing of how you're supposed to be seen and things of that was riddled in judgment that would cause me to energetically turn my back instead of having gratitude and appreciation that I was able to go through those feelings. And it was mind-blowing for me.
I could totally relate. That's the hard part, is the middle.
Right.
Yeah. And that because we are so judgmental on ourselves.
Right.
More than anybody else, probably.
Yes, absolutely. We are worse.
Yeah.
Yes. Right.
Yeah.
And,
wow.
But I thought,
Abby,
yeah. So I love the fact, the way that you said it, because the way that you explained just even being in that stillness, being in that in the moment, right? Because there is a sense of vulnerability, but as you were speaking into that, I literally completely went back to that experience that just happened last week. It was last Friday. Like, I mean, I wonder if part of the reason why I even have my cold is because I'm filtering out some of the residue to which I had brought up some of those feelings. But I found that it was so interesting that the one thing that I haven't done to myself has been gratitude to the process. Because it can be so messy and it makes us feel uncomfortable and it makes us feel like there's something wrong. And it's like, nope, we have to shut that brain down. We have to breathe. We have to allow ourselves to be present in that moment. And then when you're coming out of it, just be completely in appreciation that it was something we were able to get through and be able, like, it's like I'm a jumper. I like to jump from 1 to 3. It's like, nope, I gotta have gratitude in the middle. And that one's hard for me, but
I don't think it's just you. I think that's the toughest part. It's like, okay, I recognize it and now I want to get over it. So yeah, I want to be done.
Chip chop.
Yeah.
Let's just
moving on because there's more to do. Yeah, I mean, that's the achiever in us, right? We're achievers. We do.
Yeah.
We take care of the problem. We're problem solvers.
Yeah.
We're very creative problem solvers.
Makes it worse.
Oh yeah, we're set up for a problem. Especially when it's us, right?
Yes.
Because and many women, we are caregivers for other people, and we ourselves are usually put last or close to the bottom. And so to stop and think I don't even think I thought to myself, what do I really want, until I was, and truthfully got in the middle with what do I really want until I was in my 50s.
Yeah.
That's kind of sad, but
no, it's kind of, you know what? I'm serious. So a lot of my friends are like, they're 45 to 70. Like, and I'm 41. But like, I have found that I'm embracing the fuck it 50s now and 40s, and I think I'm going to enjoy it a lot better.
Oh yeah. Oh, definitely. And I see my granddaughter and others, and even my daughter-in-law, younger, right? And I see they're achieving a lot of this way ahead of what I did, and I'm like, you go, and
you know what? And good for you that you're cheering them on. I'm proud of you for cheering them on instead of judging or even sitting there and being jealous about it, because that is huge. Because if not, we need to rally. We need to rally. We need to cheer. We need to embrace. We need to celebrate. Because when people can do the things, it's like, yes, like the world's changing and we're it's shifting, and that's a victory beyond measures. And instead a lot of ego takes over, and then they think, oh, why can't I do that or whatever, and nope, stop it. Let's embrace each other. Let's support each other, and good for freaking them, because that's incredible.
I watched
because you did the work.
Because
you did the work. You did the work that lightens the load so that they can do the work. And that's how it works.
Yes. Yeah. I did. I mean, to watch my granddaughter do things that it took me to my 50s to get the courage to speak on stage. She does play. And she's like, I think I'm going to try out. And she'll review the notes the night ahead and then go do it. Right. And watching her perform, it makes me cry. She goes, why are you crying? I'm like, the courage that it took, and the courage I did not have when I was your age at all. I see you and I'm just in awe.
Yeah.
Like, what?
You're experiencing joy.
What? Yeah, it is pure joy.
Pure joy and expression. But okay, Miss Carmen, I need everybody to know how they can find you. How can they look you up? Like, what is coming forward for you that they can look forward to experiencing with you? Please share with us the details before we close out today.
Oh, sure. I am very active on social media. I kind of like
it. For you. I suck at it.
Yeah. And so I'm Carmen's Fine Art, my art on Instagram. And on LinkedIn, I'm Carmen Davailus, the strange last name, Davailus. And I'm not sure when this is going to air, but it will be recorded on a women's channel, which is on Easy Way TV. There is a Women to Watch Summit, March 7th and 8th, and I'm speaking there.
Okay, they'll be able to access it because this will be later. So they'll be able to find you. So that'll be perfect.
Channel. You can find it on your TV, actually, on your apps on your TV.
Fantastic. I love it. I love it. Well, thank you so much for joining us today where we talk about all the things. I profoundly appreciate all that you bring to the world, and you are just a breath of fresh light to all of us.
Thank you. Likewise, Abby. Likewise. Pure joy today.
Thanks for joining us on the Capital Life today, where we talk about all the things. Make sure to join us next Saturday so that we can do another awesome episode, whether we're keeping it real with real people or we're just talking about the things that are going on in life. Remember to take care of yourself because you're somebody's everything.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow us on YouTube and Facebook at Capital Health. That's KAPITOL Health. Please share with your friends and family. The Capital Life is available on all podcasting platforms except Pandora. Our goal at the Capital Life is to provide a safe place to get information when it comes to your health and wellness, especially when dealing with all of life's phases. Remember to take care of yourself because you're somebody's everything.